Hey y'all, it's Nancy the Handy Scandy. Welcome back for another crafty venture. Today we are making a sympathy card, and no one likes to make sympathy cards, but I find if you use a little bit of repetition and use a simple contrasting color scheme and just keep it all simple, it can really work. So I started out with this Loon Scene background stamp. It's new from Whimsy Stamps this month. And while the scene is beautiful, it's peaceful and serene and could have definitely worked on its own. Sometimes my brain just doesn't work like that. I need simple images and not a whole scene. So I love this loon. I decided I was going to cut him out 3 times, use him in some repetition, use him as a focal point. And yeah, so I just stamped it out 3 times, fussy cut it. And then I am taking my Sharpie, or you can use any kind of dark colored marker, and just go around the edges of your cut images and just kind of color over that edge so you don't see the white and it looks like a nice clean cut. Now you want to be sure that if you use like an alcohol ink marker or a Sharpie or something like that, you don't leave the marker tip to your paper very long because it will soak into your paper quickly. So you just want to keep it moving really fast. So here I have die cut my slimline panel from the Slimline Scallop die, which I absolutely love. It's just a sweet, sweet pattern. And you saw I used just a little bit of washi tape to hold all my pieces together. And I like texture and pattern. I love white on white. And so again, with the idea of kind of keeping it simple with that simple contrasting color scheme, I decided I wanted to use my embossing folders to get some of that texture and pattern. And this one is called Daisies. And so I just run it through my die cut machine and I get that beautiful embossed texture. And you can see the washi tape did its job, kept everything in place, and I can use those ovals for another project at another time. And here's where the contrast comes in. Green and white, classic, beautiful, so very pretty. This particular piece of cardstock, well, it's patterned paper, obviously, and it is from the St. Patrick's Day Slimline paper pack from Whimsy. Everything is from Whimsy today, I believe. And I just kind of auditioned it initially, and then I said, yep, that's the one. And so you could have used this in landscape or portrait. The design, actually, if you look close, is going... the design itself on the paper goes horizontally and then I turn it sideways, so if you look at the background you can see that the shamrocks are sideways, but overall you really see the loons and these wreaths instead of that background paper. It just serves as the background, which is beautiful. This set that I'm using here, this is called Farmhouse Wreath. Unfortunately, this set is no longer available, and I did not realize that before I started coloring and stamping. It's absolutely beautiful. I love the way it looks on this card. I love the way it looks every time I've used it, to be honest. I love a wreath. This is super sweet, and it really coordinates with so many, probably all of the other products in the Farmhouse line from Whimsy. But as it's no longer available, I will have listed and linked downstairs several other options. You can use digis, you can use die cuts, you can use other stamp sets that might have a wreath. You can even use like some foliage or like a chicken coop nest, something like that, any kind of nesting, whatever you want to use to frame in your pieces. You see, of course, that I'm coloring it out, and I'm using my Arteza Everblend Ultra markers just in 4 shades of green. So I will try to have them listed and linked downstairs as well. There are only 4, I think, in this box. Maybe there are 5. But I use 4, and you can, if you pause it, you might be able to see the name and the number on the tip of each one. But it's just super simple coloring. Now I've left all the coloring in for this one wreath because a lot of people like to see it. And I always say that I'm no colorist, but I guess if you're coloring, that makes you a colorist, right? So maybe you're not professional, maybe you're not quote unquote an actual artist where you do it for a living and you get paid. But I think we underestimate ourselves, or we minimize our abilities and our talents, and especially the outcome of our work when we kind of put ourselves down like that. So am I a professional colorist? No. Do I color? Yes. There we go. So I colored all 3 wreaths essentially the same way, leaving some highlights. Kind of looks like highlights, and in another kind of sense it looks like variegated leaves. So however you want to see those lighter spots, they're there. Fussy cut the outside of all 3. Then I cut an X into the middle of the wreath, and that's how I got started to cut the insides out. So here again, I'm auditioning my pieces. I love that, guys. I think it's so sweet. Then I'm kind of putting all of my loons on there to make sure I like the way I'm headed. And then I also have a sentiment cut out onto an oval. It's not the same oval, but it is from the same die, the scallop, slimline scallop die. And it was just from a previous project. So there you saw me adding just a little bit of green highlight to some of the dark areas on the loon, because I googled loons. What do loons look like? Yeah, they're black and white, but what else is there? So there's some shades of green. They have these kind of creepy red eyes. But anyway, I was just adding some of that detail. So here I'm auditioning to see, do I want my loon nestled down into the wreath like it's a nest? Do I want it in front of the wreath, behind the wreath? And so I was just playing until I got it the way I liked it. And then now I'm just gluing everything down. Does take a little fuffing and fussing and fidgeting, but I end up getting it the way I like it. And then I mimic that on all 3 of those oval frames. Now, if you were to pause and zoom in, you'd be able to see what I'm talking about, the shamrock. But here, you guys, these are absolutely stunning. These confetti mixes from Lisa Mensing are absolutely beautiful. I love them. This is the St. Patrick's Day mix, and it is new in the Whimsy shop, along with several other exclusive blends. But as I mentioned, it's Lisa Mensing. She has created these mixes, and she and her hubby have formed a online store called This Calls for Confetti, where they have a bunch of other beautiful, beautiful blends and mixes, and you really want to check them out. I'll have everything listed and linked downstairs. But overall, guys, this is my sweet sympathy card. Using a little bit of repetition, a little bit of a simple contrasting color scheme, and I think it's very sweet. No one likes to make sympathy cards, but if we make them from our heart and if we make them in a time that's not sorrowful, I think it can bring a little more pleasure, and in doing so, I think it brings a little more peace to the recipient. Maybe I'm too romantic about it, I don't know. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for spending some time with me today. If you liked this video, found it informative, educational, inspiring, give it a thumbs up. If you're not already a member of my crafty tribe, I'd love it if you hit that subscribe button, ring that bell. I'd love to see you back. And until next time, this is Nancy, the Handy Scandy. Mwah! I'm out.